So, you want to make a Christmas wreath. My name is Jeanette Pettipaw, and I've been asked to do a wreath making demonstration for you. Welcome to my garage. This is where I make Christmas wreaths. And I'm going to go through the steps and show you how I make wreaths. It's the way my mom taught me years ago, and I guess it's my family recipe for wreaths. So the first thing you're going to want to do to make a Christmas wreath is gather your supplies. Supplies you're going to need are wreath ring, wreath wire, wire cutters and brush cutters, brush, lots of brush, and decorations. And I usually use bows and pine cones. Your supplies, your brush you're going to get from either, if you've got land to go out and cut your brush, that's great, or you're going to have to get it from someone who supplies brush. You buy it in, it comes in bags about this big, and you can buy it in 25-pound bales. Your other supplies, like your wreath rings and wire, you can get either at a wreath supply store or even a place like Home Hardware. And your bows, dollar store is the cheapest place to get those, and your pine cones out in the woods. So, it's also very important to wear old clothes when you're doing this job. The sap gets on everything and will make a mess, so do not dress in good clothes for this job. You may want to use gloves. It keeps your hands a lot cleaner, but I don't work well with gloves on, so I'm not going to today. And if you're not going to use gloves, you need lots of hand cleaner. So, the first thing you're going to do is clip brush. Take your brush and your clippers. And when you're making a wreath, you're using your tips of your brush, the nice ends. So you clip all those nice ends off. For size, usually you want your little bundles of brush that you tie on your wreath to be roughly the size of your hand, so that's how you can judge the length of how long to cut your tips. And just go all over. You don't want any cut ends showing on your wreath, so you just want those nice ends. And you're left with this. You're going to have a lot of these after you clip all your brush. Uses for this, it's not really nice to look at, but you can use it for banking around your foundation for winter, for covering flower beds, or if you have kids, they love to make forts out of these things. So you can find a use for it. Now you can either clip enough brush to do one little bundle, tie it on, clip more. I prefer to clip a whole bunch of brush first, and then just when I start tying my wreath, I can keep going. I cheated today and clipped a bunch of brush ahead of time, so you didn't have to stand here and watch me stand here and clip brush all day. So, you're going to want to start your wire. Find the end here. On your wreath ring. Now, this is a 14-inch wreath ring. It makes about a 20-inch diameter wreath. And this is a double wreath ring. This is what I always use. I find they work well. And when I'm starting my wreath, I go to one of these crossbars, and that's where I start my wire. And just wrap it in around that crossbar so it keeps it secure, it won't slide. Then you're going to make a bunch of brush. So you just take some of your clipped ends and pile them together. Now brush has two sides to it. It has the nice dark green side and the back side that's lighter. You want all your nice dark green side showing. So lay it all on there. You don't want any cut ends showing on your wreath, so make sure your cut ends are all down one way. And you don't want the bunches to be too big because your wreath will get too thick too fast, but you don't want it to be scraggly looking, so about like that. Then you're going to put your bundle on with your cut ends about an inch, inch and a half past where your wire is attached to your ring. And you wrap it. You want it nice and tight so it holds, and I always wrap 3 times. And your wreath is started. Now, I'm doing a double-sided wreath, so I'm going to flip this and do another bunch. Same process. Now for this one, you're going to stagger it just a little bit. So you're just going to bring your cut ends just a little bit past the last bunch that you put on. And same thing. Flip it again. So this is the process around your whole wreath. You just keep making little bunches, putting them on. Now, for your next one here, you're going to have to place it. You don't want to go too far that way because it leaves a gap. You don't want to go too far that way because it makes a big hump. You want to try and keep it all as even as possible. So you just kind of adjust it till it's where it looks right. And tie it on. And flip it in. Now some people are really fast at making wreaths. I'm not one of them. Takes me a while, but I end up with a good looking wreath in the end, so I'm happy with that. Now every so often, you're going to get a big burst of strength and break your wreath wire. It happens. Not the end of the world. Take your broken end and, I don't know if I can see here, feed it in under the ring. Bring it up and twist it around itself. And start again. Maybe give it a couple extra wraps. And you keep going. Now, for the miracle of television, I'm going to produce a wreath that's almost finished. So, it's the same process the whole way around your wreath. For ending off your wreath, it's very important with a wreath, you don't want to be able to see where it starts and ends. So you see there's a gap there, so I'm going to do a bunch. And for your last couple bunches, you just have to hold up the ends of your first bunch that you put on and kind of stick that in underneath. Get the wire in through there. One on the other side. Same idea, you just kind of tuck it in there, and you just have to take a little bit of extra time getting your wire in around so you're not pinching the tips from your first bunches that you put on your wreath ring. I always give it an extra wrap at the last one. Then you cut your wire. And just make sure you take that little bit of wire and tuck it in good so nobody gets stabbed with that when they pick up their wreath. Give it a little fluff to get it all even, and ta-da! So, you're almost done. Last thing you have to do with your wreath is decorate it. And as I said, I use just bow from the dollar store and pine cones from the woods. You want to gather these kind of early before the squirrels eat them all, and let them dry out a bit so they open up nice like this. And there's different ways you can attach your decorations. I always use wire. Some people use hot glue, but if you do that with the temperature changes outside, when your wreath is hanging out in the weather, the glue lets go and your decorations fall off. So don't do that. I basically just feed the wire in through the bow, wrap it around the back, and twist it together. And then just make sure the cut ends are tucked in so nobody gets stuck with those. And same thing for the pine cones. Just a piece of wire, get it where you want it. Now there's all kinds of different decorations you can get for wreaths. If you can go as fancy as you want. There's a lot of things available at the dollar store, so if you want to go on a shopping spree, that's a place where you can find lots of things. And one more pine cone. Just like that. Your Christmas wreath is finished. So, that's a lovely decoration for around your house. You can keep it up for the whole season. It should last well through the season. And at the end of when you're ready to take it down, you can hang on to this if you want, wait for the brush to dry and either burn it off or cut it off and reuse that wreath ring another year. So that concludes my demonstration, and before I end the video, I'd like to call my cameraman, Mr. Ira Pettipaw, over here to say hi. You did a great job. All right, thanks everybody, and enjoy making your Christmas wreath. Bye.